Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am your host Angel, and I'm so excited that you are here and that you trust me with your time. And if you're driving, if you're cleaning, if you're cooking, whatever it is, let me know if you have a recipe. But I'm so excited because we got a very special guest. He is a man of words, he is an artist, he is a poetic, and he's just a visionary with how to put words together. And I'm so excited because my guy, A. Joe Saint, how you doing today, man? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Angel. Thank you for that phenomenal introduction. Hope I live up to it. But
I think they're gonna know. They're gonna know in a couple, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. But no, it's an honor and a pleasure, privilege to be here. As you said, my name's A. Joe Saint, Aaron Joseph St. Louis, Springfield-based artist, and happy to be here at the Rally Cry.
Let's do it. And before we get into anything, of course, we got to break the ice, right? With the Enough Said Perfect Icebreaker game. And if you guys have not got your Icebreaker game, you can do so down in the link below. And if you want, we got a domain. It's therallycry.com. You could go straight there and get your very own deck and start meaningful conversations. And so we're going to start a meaningful conversation right now. And I am going to spread out on my hand, and you are going to pick a card, my friends.
All right. Let's see what we got.
What does it say?
What's the most meaningful compliment you've ever received?
Talk about meaningful conversations, right? Talk to me. That's for you. And I'll answer too, though.
Okay. It's kind of bad that it wasn't from my fiance. I love you, babe. I remember someone said that just my existence is otherworldly. Just how I carry myself, how I dress, the poetry, all that was otherworldly, and that was like the most like fire thing I've ever heard. Especially as a poet, because I know poets and people who write and all that can like just kick cliches. So a lot of it's kind of like, okay, whatever, you're just saying that to say that, but
right.
I felt they meant that, and that was a fire thing to say. So
yeah. Enough said, right? That was pretty fire.
That's fire.
I would say, often I've had some people say they just say that I have a very great energy.
Yeah.
And I think when they mention energy, it's one thing about personality, but energy, because I'm really big on frequency. So for someone to be like, oh, you have great energy, mind you, sometimes people just come up to me and be like, you have such great aura, great energy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even talk yet. Hold on. So I think that's one of the most meaningful compliments I've received, because I wouldn't even say anything. Someone could just look at me and they'll just say, you have great aura, great energy. I'm like, what I do? But yeah, that's how for me.
No, and I definitely agree with them. You have this warmth and you have this natural warmth and light to you.
Oh, stop! Now you topped it. You topped it now. I definitely want to highlight you and go off because you do poetry. That's actually like where we've met when we're doing poetry at Artist Cafe, and that's when I heard a lot of the things that you were mentioning about how you carry yourself with poetry. I want to go back to when it all began. Like, was there a pivotal moment that started that? What made you get into poetry and music?
Yeah, so like a lot of things in life, I started late. I would say like I'm a expert late bloomer. A lot of poets will say like, oh, they remember writing their first poem when they were like 5 years old, and that's not the case for me. I remember writing outside of like the school assignments. I remember writing a poem that I was proud of and I thought was good when I was a teenager by then. And it came about through hip hop. Through one of my favorite artists, Lupe Fiasco. He's a genius when it comes to words. And I think the specific song was Put You On Game from The Cool. And if anybody's not familiar with that song, check it out. But the whole thing is him personifying this character called The Game as like this entity that exists through different cultures, this entity that exists through different times. And it's just this push and natural drive of human beings to try to conquer and compete each other, try to conquer and compete other things. It's a positive and a negative, but it's a static thing that's always there. And I just thought it was how so cool how he turned this idea into a character. And I wanted to do the same thing. And so I wrote a poem. It was about pride. I recited it to my church. Everybody loved it. And from there, it was like, okay, now these words are more powerful than just the individual word and letter. They paint pictures. And from there, I just kept on going.
Mm. Yeah, so it was almost like an inspiration, right? Like
Absolutely.
a role model that, they put their words together and it was able to, resonate with you in a way where it was like, damn, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people, we hear music every day and there's plenty of people that listen to music and sometimes it doesn't sway them enough to wanting to write their own music.
Yeah.
What made you think about writing your own music even though you've listened to
Yeah.
Lupe?
Yeah. 'Cause it excited me so much. And as a self-entitled nerd, I have a lot of references and I have a lot of ideas, which comes from like video games, cartoons, anime, all that good stuff.
Mm,
So and being from a very spiritual, God-centered background, of course, with like scripture, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of things that we try to think and feel through that are difficult, and
mm,
writing helped me think and feel through my difficult topics and difficult issues, and even the good stuff. It
mm,
helps you write and think through it. And I realized how important and powerful it was when I would write to heal myself and share it, and other people were healed as well.
mm,
That's what made it like, okay, no, this is bigger than my just myself. I need
mm.
to do something with this.
Right.
So that's what I've been doing for the past, I'll say, decade and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it came to writing your first piece,
Hmm.
right? Was there a specific person you first went to,
Hmm.
or what did you do with that first piece?
Good question. You're asking something from 15 years ago, so this might be cap. But I'm pretty sure I went to my sister, my big sister Hannah, because she wrote poetry as well,
Mm,
and I shared it with her just to get her idea, see how she liked it and things of that nature. Like, um, just because like somebody who's already been there, somebody who's done it before,
mm.
is good. But also when it comes to your artistry, you're kind of scared, especially when you just begin. So
Right.
she was somebody I knew, somebody who would give me good feedback, was somebody who wouldn't be too harsh on me.
Mm,
And yeah, like I'm pretty sure Hannah was the first person I brought it to.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you feel about presenting that in front of her? Like, I'm sure you was nervous and whatnot. What did she give you good critique, or how
So
was that?
so I think I texted through her, to her, or I can't remember. Either I
Yeah.
texted to her or I did it in front of her.
Uh-huh.
So she didn't initially like the first piece. She
Oh.
didn't, and I know why. The piece was trash. The piece was garbage. Um, it was supposed to be this ironic piece, where it was still about pride, but it was supposed to be this ironic thing where somebody's trying to communicate that they're the most humble,
Mm,
which is an oxymoron to
right.
consider yourself the most humble. And in the poem, they would slowly but surely get more aggressive and get more upset, and then at the end of it, they realize, oh shoot, I'm not humble.
Mm,
And it's good in theory, but it's more dramatic than good writing.
mhm,
And when she told me, I'm not exactly sure the exact word she told me, but when she told me like, to try again, I sat down and thought about it a little slower. I thought about the Lupe song "Put You on Game," and I personified pride as this kind of like this villainous, sneaky thing, like a shadow
mhm.
that will just come upon you and take you over and things of that nature. And it just came out a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it interesting when you mention about basically using a piece, a writing and making a character out of that. And
Mm,
it's not necessarily a character, but putting words together to personify it as if it is.
right.
How do you do that? Like, what is something that is easy for people to digest that are listening? Like, how do you do that in your work? I think that's a big creative
Hmm.
standpoint.
Yeah.
So how would that look like?
How would that look? So it would pretty much painting this picture in your head of what you think this idea looks like.
Mhm.
When it comes to pride, you can think of somebody with a crown. You could think of somebody who's haughty. You could think of somebody who has their nose up a little bit, how they might
Mhm.
talk and sway and things of that nature. And you
Right.
can do that with anything. You can do that with positive things. When somebody's happy, they might have this glow to them. They
Mm,
might be smiling all the time. They could be walking and flowers sprout up from their footsteps. It's just things that are good, things that are bad, depending on what you're trying to personify.
mm,
And you give them real life attributes. You give them limbs. You give them personality, you give them thoughts and feelings, and you just kind of expand it from there. So
Hmm.
instead of just this idea, you're thinking of a person or an object now, because
Hmm.
ideas are abstract. It's just thought bubbles and clouds. But
Right.
once you bring that into like real life, it's easier to grasp. And once it's easier to grasp, it's easier for people to relate to it
Hmm.
and see it within themselves and see it within other people.
Yeah. No, that's pretty dope. It reminds me of like there was one time I was at a cafe and I was just explaining to someone that I was talking to there just a couple ideas that I had. And she was mentioning about how prolific that is. And
Mm-hmm.
prolific is being able to think about something and bring it into reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you being a writer and being in poetry and all about words, you know, was it where like you had a moment where it was kind of just for yourself? It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like that's where it started, right? It was really for
Absolutely.
yourself. You really wanted to put it on paper. And was there maybe someone that influenced you to put it on paper? Was it just listening to music and made you want to write? Was there other influences that made you want to do that?
So I think it's kind of this snowball effect, but I only can recognize it in hindsight.
Mm,
When it was happening, I was just living life.
mm,
But in hindsight, just little things like my sister being a writer, my pops being a pastor, even though it's not poetry, he
hmm,
he preaches and speaks and
right.
is able to break down things and stretch them out so you can get information. Of course, like the different rappers and different songs and things of that nature. Thinking in hindsight, all that snowballing, hearing other people, other local people, that was a big thing. Going to open mics and hearing local people, that's what helped me. That's what kept my inspiration and imagination going. That's how I perfected my performance, because writing is one thing, but actually performing it and make those words come more alive,
Right.
that's a whole nother talent that you have to
Yeah.
if you want to consider yourself a poet, no, I'm sorry, if you want to consider yourself a spoken word artist or anything of that matter, there's your craft and then there's your delivery of the craft. Two different talents
Right.
that I recommend people practice, and the only way to practice that is to do it, mess up, and just keep on trying.
Right.
But yeah, just that, yeah, honestly, yeah, that open mic life,
Mm,
finding different and new people who have different styles, who tackle words and information differently, people who paint pictures, people who are very straightforward but they're passionate. Like all of it is very, very inspiring, and you don't have to take everything, but you can appreciate a whole lot.
mm, mm. I love that. I think too is I love how the fact that your bigger sister, she did poetry already, and then your father being a pastor,
Mm,
it kind of just coincides with everything, right?
right.
Because it's really about how you deliver a message and how do you let someone else to be inspired through the thing that you're inspired by.
Exactly.
And it reminded me there was a time I forgot what video it was, but I was seeing something on Instagram, and one of the creatives that I follow was mentioning the best thing you want to do as a creative is always be inspired, right? Like if you're
Absolutely.
going out to, let's say, Boston, or you're going anywhere out of town, you want to get a hotel that can give you some inspiration, right? Yeah, I know, understand that sometimes you want to save a buck, right?
Yeah.
Like because it'd be expensive out there, but
Absolutely.
sometimes you want to look at it as an investment so that it can give something back to you. I know sometimes like people may have experiences where like they're down bad, and that can be an experience and that can be inspiring where they want to get up and write things on paper.
Mhm,
That's how it was for me.
mhm.
That's what made me start poetry. What are some things that you've done, or you can even say to this day, that continues to give you inspiration?
Um, with all things, especially when it comes to creative aspects, I always pray.
Mm.
Like I want
Hmm.
I need it. People are talented. A lot of people are talented,
Right.
but in order to give that impact, you got to get beyond the natural and get that supernatural. So like I
Mm-hmm.
invite God into every situation, including my writing, to just give people stuff that I don't even know they need.
Hmm.
Because that's the point. I always my one of my slogans that I don't tell anybody. It's kind of like my own mental one.
Yeah.
Is write or speak as if the listener is looking for something, even if they don't know they're looking for something. Write and speak in that avenue.
Hmm.
Something that's a little more quote unquote practical. And I get inspiration from everywhere, so it's easy. But like decluttering my brain, get off my phone, taking a walk, getting some fresh air, enjoying other people's art, especially if it's different from yours, like going to museums, visual artists, things of that nature. That inspires me a lot.
Hmm.
How colors combine. It's just when you're able to open up your brain to that,
Hmm.
you're allowed and able to just pick apart every and anything
Right.
and make either make a line out of it, make a topic out of it, just make
Mm-hmm.
anything out of it, and
Yeah.
it's fun, it's exciting, and I never run out of content.
Yeah, and I definitely can appreciate you saying that because I love going for walks,
Yeah.
and being able to do that can really digress your body and your mentality, because sometimes as creatives we can think that, oh, we got to keep putting content, we got to keep thinking, oh,
Yeah.
what's the next thing, oh, what's
Yeah.
relevant and stuff like that, but the relevancy is more based on who you are,
Yeah.
and people appreciate you based on what you appreciate.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people have a hard time on kind of like just being themselves.
Hmm.
So, would you say that being a creative is more of just being a person of allowing?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say so. It's a requirement to be the creator that you're supposed to be, to fully accept yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean you don't progress beyond the bad stuff and the bad aspects of you,
Mm,
but it's making sure you're not going out trying to be a diet version of somebody else.
right.
No matter how hard you try, you can't be that person. So even if you take all their steps, do exactly like them, you're still only a version of them. You need to be the complete, full fat, 100% juice version of yourself.
Yeah. Why do you think maybe there's a lot of, you know, people that might try to start poetry and they have a hard time, like writer's block, right?
Mhm.
What do you think that maybe, like, it could be from maybe too much pressure
Mhm.
or anything like that? Have you ever had writer's block? And if so, what do
Mhm.
you do in a moment like that?
Absolutely. When I started my job, because I'm not a full time poet yet,
Yeah.
give me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But I went to school for mechanical engineering. I work at an aerospace company. It's a very demanding job.
Mm,
And when I first started, maybe like the first like 6 or 8 months, it was a lot. It was a culture shock just because you go from being a student for 12, 15 years of your life, and then you're thrown into this corporate world that has a certain culture of itself, that has history that you weren't there for, that has understandings you weren't there for, and you're doing a lot of learning, you're doing a lot of understanding. And the funny thing is, you find out things about yourself that you didn't know existed
mm-hmm.
when you were just in school. Because for all intents and purposes, school is pretty easy. College sucks, but school's pretty easy. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a corporate setting where there's a lot of checks and balances, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of expectations, you find out like, oh shoot, I might have ADHD. Oh
Mm-hmm.
shoot, I might be a little autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shoot, I might have this, and that. Like,
Yeah.
and dealing with that, dealing with the pressure of all that, and knowing and understanding that your livelihood relies on this,
Mm.
it makes it very hard to be creative.
Yeah.
It makes it very hard to lean into the stuff you enjoy. But it got to a point where I was like, okay, if this is important to me, I have to find time for it. I have to. And when I started doing that, when I was able to do that, it brought life back into me. It's like, okay, no, I love this thing. I need this thing. I can't put it down just because I'm busy. I didn't answer your original question. What was your original question?
It's okay.
It was
It's
writer's
okay.
block. Writer's block. Okay.
Yeah.
During that season, I had crazy writer's block.
Mm,
Crazy writer's block. Um, Sometimes you just got to muscle through it, and that depends on your circumstance and your situation.
mm,
Other times you have to go and enjoy other people's art. That's what I do if I'm not feeling inspired.
mm.
As well as I know for me, the inspiration comes in ebbs and flows,
It really does.
and I just ride the wave. And when the wave settles, I just enjoy my environment. I enjoy my space. I know the wave is gonna come back, so I don't overthink it.
Yeah. You ever have those moments where, like, let's say you're doing something, right? It could be anything.
Yeah,
For me, a lot of times it's me about to go to sleep, and
yeah.
out of nowhere you have inspiration. I gotta write it down.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, hopefully no police officers or traffic folk are watching this, but I get inspiration while I'm driving. I have to
Yeah.
write it down, or I'm gonna forget before I reach my destination.
Yeah.
I'll be in the middle of a conversation. People notice I'll space out because something came to me. Like, it happens all
Yeah.
the time, constantly. No disrespect. Please repeat yourself. I was listening, but then something dropped, and I had to pick it up and make sure I write it down. Happens to me all the time.
And that's the prolific, right? That's a
Yeah,
prolific, just things being able to come down and just come out of nowhere. But like, wait, hold up.
yeah,
And it's crazy how that happens, because it's where like you're literally doing something that has nothing to do with your thinking,
yeah,
and then it'll just come out of nowhere. You, oh wait, let me write it down.
yeah,
And sometimes like I wrote in poetry that took me maybe like 10 minutes to
yeah,
write, because it just keeps coming down for me, right?
yeah.
How often do you write, and how long does that take for you to write? Do you have a lot of segments to do that, or it kind of just comes to you?
It depends. It depends on purpose. topic and my reason for doing it. If I'm writing for somebody else, it usually comes pretty easily because they usually give me information. I can just
Hmm.
make it colorful. That's easy. If it's something that's passionate within me, I can write it really quickly depending on if I want it to be a more readable piece or if I want it to be kind of a presentation piece.
Right.
I'm really, really meticulous about my presentation pieces. They're really they're intricate, they're wordy, they have emotions. They speed up. They slow down. You've
Yeah.
heard my stuff, so
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I can write very quickly, but my standards are high, so I'm
Mhm.
always meticulously taking apart stuff that could be finished
Mm.
and just making it better because I want myself to be memorable and I want myself to be excited about it
Mm.
still.
Yes.
So yeah, it depends. Sometimes I can write off the cuff and be happy with something. Usually the stuff I want people to read are right off the cuff, not too intricate, a lot of emotions. But the other performance stuff, yeah, I need the kitchen sink in there when it comes to creativity.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. What would you say is your genre when it comes to poetry, right? I think there's types of genres, right?
Yeah,
Like what is something that you typically talk about? And I feel like, for off my impression of times when I've seen you, it's a lot of like self-empowerment,
yeah,
right? It's and it's a perspective, or if it's love and it's caring and it's like gentle in a
yeah,
way, and that's the impression I get.
yeah.
But I would like to hear what is your perspective and what you're really trying to
Yeah,
portray.
no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not sure if the umbrella of
Yeah.
my genre is a Joe Saint, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that encapsulates godliness, that encapsulates blackness, that encapsulates masculinity,
Hmm.
love, connection, grief. It's just the human experience from my perspective. Try to talk about things that I see and the things I see outwardly and the things I see inwardly. Yeah. And
Yes.
if it catches my eye, I feel like it's worth talking about.
Yeah, I love that.
For me, that is. If it catches your eye, you can do whatever you want with it,
Yeah, right,
bro.
right,
But
right.
for me, if it catches my eye, I feel like talking about it. I feel like expounding on it. And I feel like it's a message that people should hear or that I should hear.
I totally agree. I think perspective is everything, and that, your own perspective is the reflection to how you see yourself. And
Absolutely.
everything is really on the inside, and
Right.
everything that is inside is how you see things outside, right? Like
Absolutely.
if you feel bad in the inside, then you're going to think things outside are bad,
Yeah, right.
right? So it's really about being able to put yourself out there and, hey, this is me, this is my personality.
Mm.
How was it for you really getting on stage, right? Did you have bad experiences or anything like that? And if even if you didn't, how do you go up about being on stage? Because I think that's a fear that many people have, and that might even be an inspiration for many people, right?
Yeah.
Because people can't do that.
Yeah.
But what is one thing you've learned about being up on stage?
Um, don't take it too seriously. Um, I say that and take what you're doing seriously, but don't overthink it that everybody's looking at something, that everything has to be perfect. Try your best to be perfect, but don't think it makes or breaks what you're doing.
Hmm.
The first time I performed at an open mic, I sat down, mic like this, and just recited my poem.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it, but I remember afterwards the DJ came up to me and said, "Yo, your poem was awesome, but you need to work on your stage presence."
Mm.
Um, and at that time, I was like, "Nigga, mind your business." But now I'm very thankful he told me that, and I'm very thankful I kept on going to open mics because I was able to stand better, enunciate better, look people in the eye, express myself, use my body to
Right.
complement the words and what they're doing,
Hmm.
so that um the words get what they deserve. And I mean that by I took all this time to write it, all these emotions. It should be presented in a way that I care about.
Hmm.
And now it's a reflex. I don't have to think about performing. I just memorize my poems and I go up and perform because it's a reflex for me. But that's the part of the 10,000 hours that nobody sees, that where you're perfecting your craft, where you're working at it. And unfortunately, when it comes to performing, majority of your 10,000 hours is in front of people messing up.
Mm.
And messing up doesn't mean like you wet yourself. It's not anything dramatic. Sometimes you just slip up and miss your words. It
Right.
happens to everybody. It happens to the best poets ever.
Yeah.
Happens to the newbies.
Yep. Happens to
Don't
me. It happened to me.
happens to everybody. Happens to me. Like it's just a part of it. And it as long as you pick it back up, and even then, like as long as the poem was good, the only thing people are gonna be upset about is that you didn't finish the poem because they wanted to hear the rest. People
Right.
completely understand. Just don't look like you came up there unprepared. That's it.
Right.
That's
Totally
it.
agree.
Do
I
your
totally agree.
thing. It's not scary. It is scary. Let me say that. It's scary, but it's not so scary that it's impossible.
Mm,
A lot of times we put a lot of these unnecessary intimidations on top of what we haven't done yet.
mm,
And when we're able to take that leap of faith, when we're able to be reckless with our faith and just take that jump and do it, you realize, oh shoot, that's not that bad.
mm,
And it works really good when you have a really good audience. But I performed in people. Performed in front of drunk people. I performed in a bar where nobody's listening. I performed um, when everybody's talking and yapping. Like those are probably like some of the worst situations. But you go up there, do your thing, and know that your experience with this craft isn't designated to this one situation, isn't designated to this one experience, that it's a whole bunch of experiences, and even the bad ones are adding on top of your resume to make you better and better and better.
mm,
So you know how to adjust, you know how to figure out things, even on the fly,
mm.
because you just become so at home there.
Right.
So yeah.
No, I love that. I think those many of the things you've mentioned, I've even experienced, right? Like even aside from poetry, but just going up on a stage and doing some public speaking, there's moments where, people can be talking or there is a noise or maybe I'm not getting enough eyes as much as I think I should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
And with everybody that is listening, there's probably people that are probably like, wait, I'm not trying to go up on stage though. I don't really want to go on there. But I do believe that being able to go on stage and also be a person that is well with their words, right, is
Mm-hmm.
a really big thing. I love words as well, and that's one thing that's really attracted me with poetry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that as long as you've been doing poetry, has it helped you be a better communicator?
I would say absolutely. And at the end of the day, I'm glad you used that word, because I consider myself, because people ask me what who I am and what I do. Like poetry is an easy one, but I write songs, I rap, I
Mm-hmm.
curate events, I host.
Yes, you do.
I do a lot of stuff in the background for other people as well. And the umbrella of what I do, I just call myself a communicator,
Mm-hmm.
just because I'm just expressing information, thoughts, and feelings in a way people can digest. And absolutely, poetry helped me do it. And even talking regularly helps me with my poetry, just because at the end of the day, it's all communication. I got to make sure it's digestible. I got to make sure people understand, because I can go up there and be dope and be the best ever. But like, if the audience doesn't go home with anything, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. And I got to realize I have to keep that same standard when it comes to communication as well, whether it's in front of people, public speaking, whether it's talking one on one,
Mm-hmm.
regardless, like whether it's one, whether it's a million, it's very important to get what you think and feel across so the other person can digest it well
Mm-hmm.
and give it to you back if necessary, depending on if it's a dialogue, monologue, etc., etc. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's important.
totally agree. I think as because I love poetry because of how digestible it is, right?
Mhm,
There's a rhyme scheme to it, but there's also a creative standpoint on how you use your words.
mhm,
And it really makes me think about the communication piece, right? And how writing it down is probably like the biggest component,
mhm.
right? I don't know. Do you type it or do you write it?
I would write it if my handwriting wasn't so bad. My handwriting sucks.
Yeah.
And I always have my phone on me, so it's easy for me to, if I get an idea,
Yeah.
whoop, whoop, whoop,
Same.
whoop, yeah.
Same.
Yeah, so I usually type most of my stuff, as
Mhm.
well as we live in this cloud world, so put it in my phone, it shows up on my laptop. Put it in my laptop, it shows up on my phone. So depending on where I am, what I'm doing, I can
Mhm.
always pick up where I left off.
Right. You mentioned about, trying to articulate it in a way where people can digest it, right? And sometimes that could be hard, right? Because we're thinking about, okay, am I saying it right? And
Hmm.
that comes with the creative input of who you are.
Hmm.
How do you balance with what I'm trying to say and also still trying to make it digestible for other people to understand what you understand?
Yeah. One of the things I had to make sure to emphasize is that content reigns king. If they don't get my message, it doesn't matter how cool I sound, it doesn't matter how many punchlines, it doesn't matter the alliteration and all the word flips and the multi-syllables, none of that matters if I don't get the message across. They compared it to do you remember and one mixtapes?
Yes.
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 They compared it to the homie who can dribble and do all the dope stuff,
Yep.
and he misses a shot.
Right.
None of that, all that handles and all that, cool, but none of it mattered if he misses the shot at the end of the day.
Right.
And I got to make sure my content and my message that I'm trying to get across reigns supreme, and that I don't let the flips and tricks get the forefront. Of course, flips and tricks, beautiful, it's awesome. It's kind of required for it to be considered poetry, else you're just monologuing, else you're just talking.
Right.
But you got to make sure your flips and tricks help people digest it, as well as emphasize your messaging, because straight up saying something and then using a metaphor, the metaphor is stronger if it's done well.
Right. Totally agree. I love that. See, as much as we're breaking down the importance of being a creative and poetry and using well with your words, definitely want to put you on the spot and hear something from you, right? I know you got a couple pieces. I've seen you on stage. I know you got some in deck. So if you want, I'll leave the space for you.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet right now, and you pick a piece, and I just want to witness it,
Yeah.
along with the others.
Absolutely.
And tell us the name of the piece, of course.
Absolutely. I did this piece yesterday when I was in I was in Randolph, Massachusetts. If you don't know, that's about 40 minutes from Boston. Some friends out there. Shout out to Poetic Artiste. She had this super dope event.
Yes.
She had me out there for a feature. I did some poetry.
Nice.
And the poem I did 2 poems, but I'm going to show you guys the first poem I did, was just called Medication for Black Men. And I hope you guys enjoy. I would like to call this poem Medication for Black Men. Do you struggle to identify with women? Not on some like she, her, hers, periods, and purrs. More like, I want to be like her because that make me a better man. And not on women are masculine nowadays. That's corny, boring, snoring, ignoring all that. That's only facts if you don't know what masculinity actually is. But that's another conversation. Call our toll-free number if you're impatient. Right now, I'm talking something a bit more invigorating. A secret method, better than Viagra. 1 a day for manhood. 9 out of 10 men who claim to be alpha unprovoked do not recommend that. How you think and feel actually matters. It's a little anticlimactic, huh? But when your definition of strength is how many PSIs your soul can withstand until your very bones crack under the pressure, you learn to measure your manhood by how well you ignore any mental and emotional osteoporosis diagnosis. A little dramatic, huh? But studies show folks who bottle up their emotions increase their chance of premature death by 30%. Never speaking up, or when you do, getting your daily dose of "it is what it is" or "that's crazy" amongst your friends ain't really the antidote you thought it was. Your prescription drug for any one of life's afflictions is a shoulder shrug, and we see what that did to Kanye. No one man is worth all that coward. Outlook is dark and twisted. A Superman complex doesn't give you powers, and that's regardless of what any of these egotistical internet pseudo-love gurus who don't love you, women, or even themselves for that matter have to prescribe. And yeah, sometimes they right, but right don't mean righteous. Yeah, they got power, but power ain't a light switch. They're still in the dark. Some blind Lois and Clarks who think trailblazing is burning the bridge to their unhealed boyhood, using the toxic fumes to smoke signal any wayward, misunderstood man into the trance that hate is better than love as long as there's respect attached, suffering succotash. And I feel like a lot of men live by that, and my thinking makes me an iconoclast, a lesson man, putty tap, feminine. I just feel like love is who's willing to live life with you. Respect is who shows up to your funeral. Really ain't no use for you. When the earning respect become our main campaign and the only legacy we got to offer, not inspired love kids nor a cherished lasting marriage, but a last name. Your presence, acts of attention, gentleness, passion, protection, comfort, honesty, and effort far outweigh any masculinity masquerade that you're scared of being uncovered because you might get SMHs from people who do not love you. I know when success, pride, and lies are used to mitigate a self-esteem deficit. That's how a man turned Derek Jackson, Andrew Tate, or Kevin Sams, and that's so odd to me. Trying so hard to be a man, you gave yourself a vasectomy. Took a little snip of manhood and created a lifeless outlook on who you're supposed to be when yourself is all that's required. I mean, if we want more, fellas, let's build something higher. Not like the ways of the competition whose solutions a lazy 500 milligram sugar pill of Black King, you're trash, do better. And that's how some of the cliche, poorly written buzzword poetry sounds, but I digress. Rather, 1 gram of, son, you're valuable. 1 gram of, we see you're hurt. Another gram of, you were born with worth. And finally, a gram of, I know you're tired of questioning if places legitimately love you. More than in spite, performance, fight, and hustle, and clench our fists and heal, then maybe one day we can get wedding bands over these welted knuckles. The longer fighting tooth and nail, man is cured by self-acceptance and then maneuvering well. You're more than just your situation at hand. The full range of humanity was never allotted to only what's feminine. Take time to learn it. You deserve it. Love you, gentlemen. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yo, that was fire. What, bro?
Thank you, bro.
Yo, bro.
Thank you, fam.
That was fire, bro. I never even heard that one, so that was a treat for me, yo.
Yeah, that was newish.
Oh my god! Hold on.
Yeah, I started reciting that one from memory this year, so it's
wow,
pretty fresh.
bro. That man. Hold on, just give me a second. I'm digesting. To see what I did there. Yo, oh my god. I hope everybody really heard all of that. There was punchline for punchline on that one, but like the message itself was really just like being a better man and not like being so conflicted on what everything else is going on outside with Andrew Tate and all the other stuff and the toxic masculinity and everything that's going on and like trying to break down men, but like what is a man and being more of a man is just being more loving of a man and just being a man of who you are.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my god, that was beautiful. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you, bro. Thank you.
And this is the reason why. This is the reason why he's here. And honestly, I've loved even your past pieces that you've had. And you know, honestly, a bit of it gave me an inspiration to keep writing. You know what I mean? Because like it's like what you said. It's really being open and hearing other people, you know, talk about their perspective. And I love your perspective because majority of your perspective is a thing that I can resonate with. And just you as a person says a lot because how you portray yourself in poetry is who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that is able to understand on how you look on at life, right? And I think, oh man, that was great.
Thank you.
I agree. That's
another
dap for that. Another dap for that, bro. That was dope.
I appreciate you, bro.
And how long it took you to write that?
Let's see. I'm not sure because I'm guilty of picking up and putting down poems to write something else or do something else.
Yeah.
I've probably been maybe a few months. It took me a few months to be satisfied because whenever I write a poem, there's version A, there's version B, there's version C, there's version D. Like,
So you do a lot of drafts.
I do a lot of drafts. I'm a stickler. Like, I'll finish a poem, draft one, and even if I like it, even if I think it's good, when I start memorizing it, I'm like, I don't like this anymore. Let me keep most of it and change some stuff on the inside. Like there's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor of that piece that I might put into other pieces. So nothing goes to waste.
Right.
I'll use it for something else eventually. But
nice.
Yeah.
That's like batching.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, literally. I've finished it a while ago, sometime like early last year. For some reason, it took me a while to memorize this one. I think I was.
You did great though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mind you, that's just one piece. That's new for me. Like if you guys are listening, I've never heard this piece before. So the fact that I heard it now, that was an actual reaction. Off the other ones I've heard before, but that was really good.
Thank you.
Memorized the entire thing.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. No. I never hate on anybody who reads their poems, especially when you're writing dozens of them. Like, it's hard, but like I love being able to have my poetry at the top of my head and be able to perform it a certain way just because I have it already memorized. I don't got to think about the words. So yeah, thank you.
I love it.
I'm glad you like it.
Yes. Yeah, I hope everybody, if you're driving, you could use one hand and use the snap of the fingers or just, oh man. It made me think about how when you was doing it, I was paying attention to the tone, right? And the tone at first it started very soft, and then it got passionate about the thing you was talking about, and then it went back down low. And like what that does is like it really emphasizes, and it makes me want to hear you more. So that is also another thing that I've learned like from you, and just like understanding the importance of being a conversationalist. Right? Because that's technically what it is. Like you was having a conversation with us. And what I loved about it was you asked the question, almost made me about to respond. I was like, wait, are you really asking me? So I loved it because it keeps me engaged. And that's really what it's about. And that's the digestible part as well. Like asking questions and doing that. What like there has to be more inspiration that comes from this. Like what made you do the engaging part? Where did you get that from?
So the poem's called Medication for Black Men, and some parts of it, especially the beginning, it sounds like a medication commercial. So you know how when they start, they ask you a question,
Yeah.
they guess your symptoms and what you're dealing with,
Yep.
and they give you all this information, and then they give you the product.
Right.
And pretty much that was the inspiration for how I kind of structured this poem. And then when I got to the end, it's funny because in medication commercials they give you all the side effects really really fast.
Yep.
But no, for this pill, when I was giving you each gram,
Yeah.
I said it nice and slow. Make sure you're able to digest it, because that's the key part. And I really love the slower part because it's not crazy intricate, but it's so important. That's my main messaging. Of course, I talked about the Andrew Tate and the red pill guys and et cetera, et cetera. That was just building foundation so I could, at the end of the day, give you the real product that I need you to have, not that red pill. I don't know what color pill this is, but it's good for you.
It's good for you. I feel good.
Mission accomplished.
Yo, and what it makes it relevant though. You know what I mean? Like you
Absolutely.
mentioned certain things to make it relevant, to make people like pay attention. Like, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it makes me even think about the point of how you put everything together to coincide with the thing that you was already coming up with, right?
Mhm.
Like you probably was watching a commercial and
Yeah.
you was like, let me, and then you started writing, and
Yeah.
that's where that inspiration come from, right?
Yeah, of course. And I pulled from other poets and other artists. Was one guy, Midnight. I don't know if you've heard Midnight. Midnight's excellent. He's out of Connecticut. Yeah.
I've heard. I think he's been in Springfield before.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
He's been at Dewey's.
yeah.
I think-
He's popped up a few times.
Yeah.
Midnight is freaking excellent.
Yeah, he wears weird glasses too sometimes.
Yeah, he wears the bright red glasses.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
I know what
yeah.
you're talking about. Yep, shout outs to him.
Midnight's excellent, and he has this poem relating black people and bicycles, and him doing that poem. It was honestly like a set of poems that he did, and he made it feel like we were watching TV. And each poem was a different channel, a different TV show.
Yeah, I
And
feel like I remember that piece.
when I saw that, that opened up my mind again. Because like sometimes when you're in poetry, you're in your artistry, you feel like you've like hit a wall where you're this good and you don't know where to go from there. That opened up my brain again to like, okay, I can make this really magical. And so instead of making my pieces as straightforward conceptually, because like I always have cool lines and always have a certain style and cadence, but to anchor it to something that people know and understand and they can relate to, that's where it gets really really fun. And that's pretty much a long way to say an extended metaphor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's an extended.
That's really what it is.
It's an extended metaphor.
It was like what we were talking before we came on camera. Like it's really speaking in parables.
Yeah.
Right, and using that parables and adding more information to it so that people can understand that parable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. I definitely want to go into our next segment.
Yes, sir.
And our segment is called Rally Rapids.
Okay.
So what this is that I have 10 words for you, and with each word that I give you, you're just gonna tell me the first word that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So the first word that I have for you is family.
Family, integral.
Integral?
Yes.
Explain.
Integral, important, necessity, a must, and family's not just blood. I know, and I've always known and felt this because I have homies and bros and all that stuff who are not related to me. But especially when my brother passed, I noticed and realized God put a lot of great, excellent people in my life who are not blood. That's forever my family.
Amen. I love it. Second one is wellness.
Wellness is dynamic and it's multifaceted. Sorry, I'm giving you more than one
No,
word.
that's good. No, it's good. It's good. I love it. Communication.
Difficult if you want it to be.
I love that. Enough said. Fourth one is secure.
Secure. All these are important. I don't want to keep on using important.
Right.
But security, you can't bloom to your real self without security.
Right.
Being secure in who you are.
Right. Fifth one is spirituality.
Spirituality is foundational. You need it in order to properly navigate this physical world we live in. And
physical world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one world, but there's physical aspects, there's spiritual aspects. And you have to have the discernment to understand that all spirituality is not good, all spirituality is not bad. Because as long as there's light and there's darkness, there's angelic and there's demonic. You gotta be watchful, you gotta be mindful, and bring your homies along so guys can handle this together.
Totally agree. Together, forever.
Exactly.
I love it. 6, love.
Love. Spread it.
Spread it.
Spread it.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Like
butter. That good butter.
Butter.
That artery clogging butter. That good butter.
7, abundance.
Abundance. Not necessarily money. Don't devalue abundance by only making it money.
8, liberation.
Will not be televised.
Will not be televised.
Knowing this world, it will be monetized
though. Come on now. Number 9, loyalty.
Loyalty is, what's the word? Loyalty is a requirement. It's level 1. If there's no loyalty, don't build off of it.
That's true. That's what builds trust.
Exactly.
To be honest. And the last one is number 10, leadership.
Leadership. We're all leaders. Just know which line you're supposed to be leading.
Enough said. I love it. I love it. I definitely appreciate you sharing that piece, first of all, because that was fire. That was so fire.
Thank you, man.
And it felt like it was a treat for me.
Yeah.
And definitely want to go into asking, is there anything that people want to tune in with you? Because, you go to a lot of events, you host a lot of events, there's events that you do with word for poetry. You do a little bit of everything, right? You're a conversationalist, you're a big communicator, and you can even say that you're a public speaker, right? You just do it creatively.
Technically, yeah.
So is there anything that, that's going on that people want to, tune in with you about?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are familiar, my nemesis, self-proclaimed Nadia Sims, she invited me and this other super excellent poet, well decorated. I'm pretty sure he's the poet laureate of New Haven. Mm-hmm. She invited me to recite poetry at the Funny Bone.
In Connecticut?
In Connecticut.
Nice.
Funny Bone in Connecticut, April 19th, I believe it is. It is free. The kitchen will be open. The bar will be open. It's myself influencing her as the features. There will also be an open mic portion.
Nice.
Definitely go check it out. If you're not following me, A Joe Saint on Instagram, AJoeSaint. You can also go on ajoesaint.com. Tickets / RSVP, because it is free, will be opening, I believe, sometime this coming week. So definitely check it out. Be there. It's going to be an awesome time. I really look forward to it.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I'll make sure that I'll put all those links down in the description. So if it's on YouTube, if it's on Apple, if it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, whichever it is, just make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be awesome guests that are coming more in the future. And I'm just so blessed for you to be here. Mm-hmm. And honestly, until next time, you guys be easy. Peace. Oh, matter of fact, what size are you?
XL.
What color you want? White, blue, black?
I love black. Let's go with black.
And you said XL?
Yes, please.
I got something for you. Here you go. Open it up. There you go. That.
You're too kind, sir.
That's for you.
Oh, awesome, man. I love merchandise. Oh, man.
I know you do.
I love merchandise.
I still got your shirt that says beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I still got that shirt.
Good stuff.
There you go.
Y'all see this? I don't know if y'all still recording after this, but
it is.
Make sure y'all grab the official Rally Kai tee.
Rally Kai.
Rally Kai.
Keep moving.
Keep moving.
Keep moving. And then there's a QR code in the back. So now that you have that shirt, you can scan that QR code. And
that's fire.
This episode about positivity and how well does it keep you moving.
That is fire. It's good. It's good marketing.
All right, guys. You guys be easy. Peace.
Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Bring it in. Bring it in.
Oh.
Bring it in.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, of course, bro.